Let's talk about the Browns' second first-round pick. They were tied to KC Concepcion throughout the entire draft process. He was mocked to them by a number of the prominent mock drafters, proving Adam the Bull wrong once again that sometimes the mockers actually have some legitimate information. Zach, Jason, your thoughts on KC Concepcion at 24 over some of the other receivers that were still on the board when the Browns made the pick?
For who was left on the board, it's fine. I said in the first hour, my only quibble is I'd like to have seen him go up to get Mekhi Lemon into it. Philly did move up to 20. It didn't cost Philly a ton to do that. I liked Lemon better. I'm not as concerned over some of the drops after hearing Steve Smith's explanation. I thought it was a great breakdown that he had. Go find it if you haven't seen it yet. You know, Andrew Berry dismissed it, of course, last night, saying every receiver has drops except Larry Fitzgerald. And they tried to – and a lot of people framed it as it's more of a concentration thing. Okay, well, I hope you concentrate on Sundays now.
Yeah.
And we've seen concentration drops around here in the past, and they were absolute backbreakers and drive killers. So I get it with the explosiveness. I didn't love it. I've never just been queasy on Concepcion. I feel better about it today after sleeping about it and after hearing from some people who've played the position before. But overall, I can't argue with any of it. I would have preferred Mekhi Lemon in that spot to move up and get him.
Yeah, I like Mekhi Lemon. I just love his attitude. He's a dog. Like, he plays. He is under 6 foot, but he play like he's 6'4". He can run all the routes. He got sneaky quickness, sneaky speed. He'll fit in very well in Philly. I liked him a lot. I'm just glad the Steelers didn't get him because they were looking. I was like, man, this guy reminds me a lot of Hines Ward. But in terms of KC Concepcion, I had him rated as right underneath. He was one of the first guys underneath Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson, and Mekhi Lemon. I had him rated right with Zachariah Branch in that area is another name that's still on the board. But you can see what he's doing right there. Since Travis Benjamin, the Browns have not had an electric playmaker on offense. He can do this right here. He's gonna. Now you don't got to worry about Gage Larvadain fair catching the football. Can we at least say that? Because every time he went back there, I said, please just fair catch it.
What about the Malachi Corley end around? Is that still
he's gonna have to work on something else because he's gonna get all of these. Think Ladd McConkey at the University of Georgia where Todd Monken was at, and think of Zay Flowers and the type of ways they got them to football. And I think you've now got a guy where you can say, hey, we can get you the ball out quick. We can get you some RPO stuff. And maybe you could turn a 5-yard slant into a 30-yard explosive play.
He's fast, and he's flawed, but he's fast.
Yeah.
That's what counts the most. So he's a pretty good route runner. When he was a true freshman at NC State, they threw him the ball every time. It was crazy. So you're on YouTube now. You're watching the show you should be watching. As soon as we're done, Google 2023 KC Concepcion. And they ran into some running back trouble that year, and guess what they did? They just started pitching him the ball. Like, this is 18, 19 years old, right? So he's electric. The Browns need that. The offensive line remake is 70 to 90% done. Mm-hmm. The wide receiver remake is just beginning, right? And the last thing I wrote after months and months of this stuff, the last thing I wrote for Wednesday, or maybe Thursday, I don't know what month it is, right, at this point, was like a little counterpoint. Should the Browns trade down? Should they do this? And the point was, hey, they have a screaming need at wide receiver, and the counterpoint was, well, there really isn't one. Like, they have a screaming need at wide receiver. So they're going to draft at least one more. But they long felt that Concepcion was a good start, and that's because of his explosiveness.
Yeah, you look at it, the drops are a thing. Let's be clear. Like, it is a little alarming, sure. I think it also compounds the fact that people are pushing back a little bit because you do have a guy like Jerry Jeudy who you don't necessarily can count on when you need him. I go back into the game against the Cincinnati Bengals the first week. Or I think it was his first. That was week 1, wasn't it?
Yeah, those 2 interceptions were on drop passes.
That was a drop passes, hit him right in. And then there was a 4th down play, which Joe Flacco hit him right in his hands. And that was a bit of conversion inside the red zone he dropped that.
To throw in against the Bears should have been a touchdown. That's an interception.
So these are things that, we kind of already got one of those guys. I always say, in the receiver room, you could deal with a couple of headaches and guys, or you can deal with one, but you can't have two. But all intents and purposes, I think that they'll utilize him in a different way than just putting him outside. Because I don't think he's ready to just say, hey, go out there and beat this dude one-on-one. I don't think that's a thing. But I do think that Todd Monken is creative enough to get him the football in other ways.
Listen, Malachi Corley showed up here last year, and he was a professional, and he earned his chances, and they needed him.
Yep.
Right? If they're even mostly right about KC Concepcion, then what you're going to see right away is that why Isaiah Bond and Malachi Corley are just borderline NFL players, and this guy is a true NFL talent.
Yeah, and plus, look, if you can get something, I will say this, you know, at the end of the year, the Cleveland Browns was splitting Harold Fannin Jr. out to the outside, working him on corners because they didn't have anybody else to throw the ball to. They completely couldn't trust him what Jeudy was doing at the time. Guys were not open, and now you can at least say, hey, I got Isaiah Bond over there. He's really fast going that way. KC Concepcion is really fast going that way. And by the way, you still have to deal with Harold Fannin Jr. if he catches the ball beneath the sticks because he's going to be a load to bring down in the open field. So at least you have options now, something to look forward to other than, hey, let's see if, no disrespect to with my tight end, what's his name? I know I had a brain fart. Njoku.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's still unsigned, isn't he?
Yeah. You're not looking at Njoku, lumbering down the field. So you got some options here. Got some options, I think.
Couple things on Concepcion, by the way, just as I was doing some extra research this morning. He played 61% of his snaps this most recent season from the outside, 37% from the slot. You talk about the concentration drops. He was also 10 of 15 on contested catches in 2025.
I like that.
67% is in the higher echelon. It's in like the 80th percentile and up. You watch any of these highlights, and if you want to play any more of these highlights, you can see he averages good explosiveness. I had a stat earlier. It said 3.8 yak per reception. That wasn't yards after catch. That's yards after contact. It's just too many characters to put on. So it's a guy that, even though he's not big, breaks a ton of tackles, is really good in open space, and adds a level of dynamic explosiveness, yes, into this offense that they frankly were lacking. And as a returner, he was a first-team All-American unanimous returner in the return game last year for the Aggies. He had 2 punt return touchdowns. We can't show you the LSU one because I can't find any All-22 footage of it. You can see the one against UTSA in one of the other highlight capes we have of Concepcion. That's one of those contested catches. But he was the unquestioned best returner in football last year. And if you're looking for any individual tape, if you want to get a good feel of what KC Concepcion can be, go watch their tape against LSU last year, where Mansour Delane, the 6th overall pick, and Concepcion were lined up one-on-one for a lot of the night. It was a heck of a battle. And if he could do some of the things he did against Delane, who obviously went 18 picks higher, I think he's going to have a pretty good shot to be a really effective receiver against some other cornerbacks in the NFL immediately in this Todd Monken-style offense.
I think what you got to realize, too, is you got to look at this thing as an overall draft class. Last year, when you came away with Mason Graham, and your first 2 picks was Mason Graham and Carson Schlesinger, we kind of looked and said, what are we doing here? But as you get into the second round, you add Fanning, you add Judkins, then you got Dylan Gabriel, and then we was like, what are we doing here? But you got Dylan Sampson, you got Shedeur Sanders. But if you think about the totality of the draft, it looks a lot better when you have pieces and parts put into it. So you got Fano and you got KC Concepcion, but Concepcion looks a lot better if you are able to get Ted Hurst, Brazel, or another bigger receiver to complement where he lacks. So I think that's the way to look at it, and I think people will be more excited about that.
As we get into guys that we're looking at 39, I'm glad you said that because I did go with a bigger type receiver at 39. But I am fascinated by Ted Hurst. I don't know about you guys. Not at 39.
Yeah,
but as a guy a little bit later on, raw size, speed, combination. I mean, I don't know if the Browns are the team that's going to develop a project receiver.
Right.
But, man,
I'd love it.
there's a lot there to like about him.